I've been having trouble sleeping lately. I've seen doctors about it and get the same old treatment, sleeping tablets, change of diet. It's stress, it's manageable, blah, blah, blah. I've tried everything to sleep. I feel like I'm just going crazy. What I didn't know was my life was about to change. Something was coming, something that would change everything for me. The first night this happened, I woke suddenly and looked at the big red writing on the alarm clock. 2 a.m. God, 2 a.m. and I'm wide awake. I got up and I walked out of the living room and switched on the TV. The house felt so empty. I know how strange that sounds, considering I live alone, but it just felt almost creepy. The room was dark, but the flickering light from the TV was lighting it up in a flashing glow. The sound of static filled the room. I was switching stations frantically, just staring at the screen almost in a trance, when all of a sudden the TV switched off, the room now pitch black. I repeatedly pressed the power button, becoming more and more frustrated, when suddenly the TV turned back on. The number 32 appeared in the corner of the static-filled room. Channel 32, that's pretty random, I thought. Suddenly I could see an image coming through the static. It was hard to make out at first, but the more I stared, it became clearer. A person sitting on a chair in an empty room appeared on the screen. It was still blurry, but I could just make it out. Music was playing in the background, eerie, off-key piano music. It was very unnerving. What was this? It looked so odd. Someone walked in from the left of the screen to the person in the chair and stood completely still. I couldn't stop watching. This felt so strange. What was this? Suddenly the person pulled out a knife and stabbed the person in the chair, and the TV switched off. What did I just see? Oh my God, that seems so real. I grabbed my phone and turned on the torch and made my way back to bed. I felt so off after watching it. I took the next day off work sick and spent the day painting the spare bedroom. I was hoping the hard work would make me sleep better that night. Time passed fast and I made my way to bed. Before I knew it, I was asleep. Suddenly I awoke. Looking up at the clock again, the big red writing said 2 a.m. God, 2 a.m. again. What's the odds of that? I climbed out of bed and went to the living room. I sat down and switched on the TV. Static again. The TV suddenly turned off. I was in the dark again, 2 nights in a row. How's my luck? The TV turned back on. Channel 32 was displayed in the corner of the screen. I leaned forward and placed my face closer to the TV. An image started to appear on the screen through the static. Someone sitting on the chair again in the same room. This person was different from the one last night. What is this channel? I thought. The off-key piano music started playing again in the background as another person came on screen from the left, approaching the person in the chair. He poured some liquid on the person in the chair and threw a match at them. As I watched them go up in flames, suddenly the TV switched off. Oh my God, I was so shaken. What is this channel? I left the room and sat at my kitchen table. I felt so sick, I was so tired, and the channel had me freaked out. The next day was Saturday. I spent the day reading and tidying up the house. That night I crawled into bed and couldn't get the channel out of my mind. Channel 32. I fell asleep and awoke suddenly shortly afterwards. I looked at my alarm clock and the big red writing said, you guessed it, 2 a.m. What's happening? I thought. I got out of bed and headed for the living room. I sat down and switched on the TV. This time straight away Channel 32. I could see the image clearly, a person sitting in a chair. Someone appeared from the left, approaching the person in the chair, wrapping their hands around the person's neck, choking them. The TV turned off. By now, I was so shaken I had no idea what was happening. This continued to happen for the next 28 days. Every day, I would wake at 2 a.m. and switch on the TV. A new killing would happen, more and more gruesome each time. It was day 32, and I had awoken at 2 a.m. I got out of bed and made my way into the living room and switched on the TV. Channel 32 appeared, yet again. The same scene, with someone in the chair. Something was very different this time. I moved closer to the TV. I couldn't believe it. The person was me. I was shaking. I knew what was coming. Someone appeared from the left and approached me in the chair and raised an axe over my head. The TV switched off. I stayed up for the rest of the morning. I was terrified. I couldn't sleep after what I had just seen. At 8 a.m., I went to the living room and switched on the TV. The news was on, breaking news. A man had been arrested on charges of multiple murders. After a tip off, it had been found that this was a local serial killer and had been killing his victims in the basement of his house. A total of 31 victims had been found. It was him, the man on the TV, the killer. I had witnessed the murders live on TV, but why? They found various items at his home, including a journal. In the journal, it had the addresses of all his 31 victims. It all of a sudden came to me when the police had contacted me that day. They told me something that made my blood run cold. I was meant to be the 32nd victim. I was next. Channel 32 was a warning. It never appeared again after he was arrested. I still have nightmares about it to this day, about being the 32nd victim on Channel 32.